Storms really have made the headlines this week, and images like we see here really are not all that uncommon across North America right now. All the way from California to nor'easters in the Northeast, everybody's been experiencing it. And of course, we'll talk about some of that in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week may be a familiar one. A few weeks back, we reported on a boat that was stuck on some rocks in the middle of the Mississippi River, just south of the Chain of Rocks Bridge. This incident occurred back on October 5th, where a captain made an errant move and missed his turn, and unfortunately his vessel wound up stuck on the Mississippi like this as they were on their way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Salvage crews have been trying to remove this vessel from the rocks for the past few weeks, but due to weather conditions, they've been unsuccessful in doing so. That was until this week. With severe weather in the area, the water levels have risen to a level where the boat dislodged itself. This was discovered this week when Coast Guard officials went out to check on the vessel to make sure everything was still intact, only to find the ship gone. Officials initially believing that the vessel likely floated down the river, launched an air search utilizing helicopters, drones, and other aircraft, but after searching up and down the Mississippi, they were unable to find any evidence of the 44-foot sailboat. All they did find was the dinghy from the vessel floating down the river. Currently, this incident is still under investigation, but at this time, local authorities are claiming this as a sinking. And speaking of sinking, our next story is going to go there as well, but on a completely different level. Imagine actually being out on a lake and watching a house sink. Well, that was almost the scene just a few weeks back up on the Bay of Islands in Newfoundland, Canada. As can be seen in these images here, this is literally a house being floated across a bay. Apparently, a couple up in Canada fell in love with this 100-year-old home that sat on a piece of property across the bay from them. Once they found out this home was being scheduled to be demolished, the couple decided they were going to pull it across the bay and bring it over to their property. Now, most of us have probably had to move at some point in time, and we all know that can be a stressful situation, but man, they are taking moving stress to a whole new level with this one. The couple did talk to local news sources about how they accomplished this task of floating the house across the bay. Apparently, this wasn't their own original idea. Back in 1965, when the Resettlement Act of 1965 was passed, this was a common practice. The couple said they built a wooden frame with wheels and used 28 styrofoam-filled barrels to actually give the house flotation. They then used 3 dory vessels to push the house across the lake. Unfortunately, as they were crossing the lake, one of the vessels broke. Just after that happened, water actually rushed in the house and began to cause the house to list. Fortunately, the couple had other friends out on the water, they were able to get another vessel involved, and they were able to safely get this pulled over to their new plot of land. The couple does mention in news sources though, this was definitely the most nerve-wracking move they've ever done. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to keep us up in Canada, where this past week, a container fire broke out on the MV Zim Kingston just off the coast of British Columbia. It's reported that the ship had run into poor weather and actually lost 40 shipping containers into the ocean just before the fire broke out. The ship was known to have been carrying dangerous mining chemicals, which had locals around the area concerned about possible air contamination due to hazardous fumes. 16 crew members were evacuated from the vessel while the fire was brought under control. The crew has since returned, and the fire is only in a smoldering state. At this time, US and Canadian Coast Guard officials are working together to try and track down the 40 missing containers that fell off the vessel during the storm. Currently, the US and Canadian Coast Guard have a 2-mile perimeter set up around this vessel for public safety. There is another round of storms expected to hit the British Columbia area this coming week, and they're hoping to move this vessel after these storms pass. Our next incident to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Belgium and the port of Antwerp, where this past week a Maersk container ship was pulling into port and wound up colliding with 2 smaller ships that were already docked into space. Here you can hear the smaller vessels being crunched together from the larger ship. Currently, this incident is still under investigation to determine if this was human error, possible mechanical error, or maybe even just weather factors that pushed this vessel off course. Our next item to make the boating news this week is going to bring us back over to the United States and down to sunny South Florida, where today the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show is set to begin. This event is not only one of the largest boat shows in the United States, but actually one of the largest boat shows in the world, and is an excellent opportunity for anybody who loves boating to come down and check out everything that's going on new in the marine industry. Outside of new marine products, there will also be many seminars hosted here where you can learn a few things about boating, including the seminar that I'll be hosting in collaboration with the Bahamas Tourism Ministry called First Time Boating to the Bahamas, Crossing the Gulf. So if any of you plan to attend the boat show this year and you're going to be there on Friday, we'd love to see you at the seminar. I also plan to be around the Bahamas booth on Thursday the 28th from around 3 to 5 p.m. So be sure to stop by and say hello if you're at the show. Also, I'll probably have a little bit of swag with me, maybe a couple tumblers, definitely some Drain Plug Mafia stickers. I'll actually even leave those stickers over at the Bahamas booth. If you can't catch me at the times that I'm there, just stop by, ask for a Drain Plug Mafia sticker while supplies last, and one of the crew from that booth will get you set up. Also, once again, the seminar, be sure to stop by and check that out. It's a great opportunity to find out about our trips we do every year down to the Bahamas from Fort Lauderdale. Also an opportunity for you to find out how you can join us on our trip in 2021 coming from Fort Lauderdale over to the Bahamas. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Adrian Vanderheck, Adam Coolidge, and Andy Smith did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.